Touch the later, everyone, and welcome to the conversation class. Today, we're going to discuss some of the particles, and some of these particles can be used in more than one ways. So, there are other usage of this same particle, but today I have chosen these particles on the basis of having uncertainty. So basis of being uncertain, and on the basis of uh, initiating a conversation and then incorporating certain type of statements or dialogues in your conversation, in which there might be time or there might be occasions when you are not certain about certain things. And so these are some of these particles that can be used in those cases. Lasso. So uh, before we go to the lesson in discussing these, let us begin with the Formism. So today we have Yurmo Chita Matina Ngamo Tamji Changjang. Let me repeat this. Yurmo Chita Matina Ngamo Tamji Changjang. So this means if one doesn't taste something sour, then all of the sweet things become tasteless. So what do we mean by this? So the actual meaning of this aphorism says that when in life, if one does not encounter hardship or a sort of difficult situation, then they might not be able to appreciate the kind of life that they are currently living. So this particular aphorism talks about being grateful about the things that are happening in a positive manner, and then to be content in the moment rather than thinking about the things that might not go according to one's wish or desire. So this is the aphorism. The example. So here we see that, especially we see here that the usage is done in order to take the taste of things as an example, and the actual thing of experiencing these tastes is understood as the good experiences are understood as sweet things. The bad experiences are understood as sour things. So let me repeat this once. Okay, so today we're going to discuss some of these particles. So the first one is pilcher. So pilcher in this particular usage is used in order to show a sort of uncertainty, to show that there is something that one has not decided upon, something in which there is a certain perimeter which may not be not been made clear. So something that is unclear and that is not decided. So in that very understanding, we have used this word pilcher, which in English is most probably. So pilcher can depending on the statement or depending on the circumstance, pilcher can sometimes also function as probably. So definition. Ta chue bashi minbe tuan la kogu. Ta chue bashi minbe tuan la kogu kyang. Kangsam ta chi simba. Let me repeat the definition. Ta chue bashi minbe tuan la kogu kyang. Kangsam ta chi simba. Which means though it should be understood as not decided. So ta chue means something that has been decided. Ta chue ba means something that has been decided. So this particular usage of pilcher is done in the understanding that something has not been decided. But quite much of it is decided, meaning that the person has almost 70 to 80% decided that they're going to do it, or it will happen. But there's still a small portion of it that is unclear, that is uncertain, that is undecided. So for those particular uncertainties, we use the particle pelcher, which means that for the most part it's decided. But there's still a little bit of uncertainty. And here the usage of pelcher is done in that very manner. The word pelcher can be used in other usage cases where it doesn't apply to uncertain things as a particle to show uncertainty. And one of the usage of pelcher is to indicate a majority, saying that majority of this thing. But our interest today is to understand the usage of pelcher in the usage of functioning as an uncertainty, to show uncertainty. So let me repeat the definition. Ta chue ba shi min be, jian la ko gui gyang, kang sam ta jie simba. Ta jie simba means something that has already been decided. Berna. Nga sang yin pelcher lop ta la du zi me. Berna. Nga sang yin pelcher lop ta la du zi me. For example, I most probably don't plan to go to school tomorrow, meaning that the person is almost sure. The person is, if we say from 100%, a person is 70 to 90% sure that they're not going to go. But then there could be a change in circumstance. There could be a change in the situation, and they might have to go. But as of current, the person has almost decided that they're not planning to go to school. So we're using the word pelcher. Okay, so second example. Let me repeat this. Looking at the immense knowledge of medicine he possessed, he most probably is a doctor. So in this particular case, we see that we are making an assumption, and and definitely not just a random assumption. We look at certain factors, and then we have an almost clear understanding that the person has this type of characteristic, has these type of skills. In this particular case, it's the skills and the knowledge. So looking at the skills and the knowledge possessed by the person, we're assuming that they most probably are a doctor. So here, there might be certain uncertainty here because the person is not sure. If the person was sure, they would say, redu. They would say, redu. And in that case, we don't have any uncertainty. But since we are using the word pelcher, which should be understood as most probably, meaning that it is not sure. It's still in the understanding of being probable. So we're using this particular particle to show the uncertainty. So let me repeat the example. Lasso. So this is the first particle. So we see that the first particle either tells us a decision that was the decision that is most probably going to be taken, or a particular type of estimate that is almost almost certain that there might be certain factors that would make this particular decision a little uncertain. So we see that either it's used with assuring a decision, saying that it's almost decided, but there is a little bit of uncertainty here. Similarly, someone is almost sure that something is, but there is a little bit of uncertainty there. And so we understand that this particular particle helps us understand and characterize a statement as an uncertain statement, meaning that though it should be understood as not decided, something that has not been decided because it's not certain, so it's not decided. But quite much of it is decided, meaning that someone is almost sure. That it's almost sure. So therefore, for those particular cases, we use the particle pelcher, the word or the particle pelcher. Okay, so the second example, the second particle is si, might. So the definition is pa chua ba shi min be tön la ko gö kyang tön na min ru chung we samchar, meaning though it should be understood as not decided, but suggesting that it will happen at any time. So ta chua ba shi min be tön la ko gö, meaning that something that is not something that should be understood as not decided. Samchar means to suggest. So samchar means to suggest something. So something that is to be understood as something that is not decided yet, but someone is suggesting that it will happen at any time. Meaning that it could happen now, it could happen a little later, it could happen at a particular time. So suggesting that it could happen at a particular time, any of the particular time, if it's mentioned. Let me read this again. For example, he might come tomorrow. So here we see that though it's not decided that the person in this particular statement will come tomorrow, but someone is suggesting the possibility. Someone is suggesting the possibility that that person might, suggesting the possibility of the person to come tomorrow. So it's uncertain. There's a degree of uncertainty here. So, second example. Let me repeat this. One's aspiration and hopes might come true. So here we see that it's telling that though it's not decided that one's hope and aspirations will come true, but one is suggesting that though it will not happen by any certainty, meaning that there's no certainty, saying that you cannot be certain that it will happen now or after or any time, but one is suggesting that it might happen in the span of a particular duration. So it's more like suggesting someone that it might happen at any particular time. And that is why we have this degree of uncertainty here. One is not telling that it will happen, that it is certain that it will happen. No. One is simply suggesting that there is a possibility that it will happen. And it will happen not at a fixed time. And the possibility is not referred to any particular fixed time if the time is not mentioned. So in the first example, we see that the time of when something might occur has been stated in the statement tomorrow. So we are specifically saying that there is a possibility that something might happen tomorrow. But if the particular time has not been stated, then the possibility of something to happen is pervasive over a uncertain duration of time, or at a certain uncertain time, meaning that someone is suggesting that it will happen, but the possibility of it to happen is within any of the time period. And definitely, since it's not something that has already happened, it's something that will happen in the future. But in the first example, we're specifically narrowing down. Instead of talking about a particular time frame that might be of any of the time frame, we're narrowing down it to tomorrow, meaning that definitely it might happen in any other day, but there's also a possibility that it might happen tomorrow. And this is done only because of the mention of the time in the statement. C by itself only suggests that it will happen at any time. But if someone if someone tries to precise it by stating a time, then there's a possibility that it might happen tomorrow. But one should understand that it doesn't violate the very function of C or might. Because if it might happen in any duration of time, if it might happen at any time, then it might also happen tomorrow. It might also happen day after tomorrow. There is an uncertainty, despite of the precision here. So therefore, if a particular time has been stated with the statement, then the possibility is narrowed down to that particular duration. But if it's just used without any specific time stated in the statement, then it should be understood that it might happen at any time. It will happen at any time. Non-specified period or more non-specified time. So C talks about the possibility that it will happen. And so there is an uncertainty there. Similar to the first one, where there is uncertainty, the difference is that the first one talks about a specific event, and the very thing for the first event to happen depends most probably on either the circumstances or the person's ability to decide. Given the different factors. So therefore, the second one suggests that it will happen at any time, so might. It also tells us about an uncertainty on when something might happen. So the function that something is not, so the definition that something has not been decided, has not been violated. But now the difference from the first one is that in the second one, it suggests that something might happen at any time, rather than depending on whether most of it has been already decided or not. It has no it has no relation to if whether something has been decided to a certain extent. It only functions to suggest. So this is C, might. Now the third particle that is, or the word that is 직체나, maybe. 직체나, maybe. 他却不是明白团了科学讲，他却明解决切个的哟。So 他却不是明白团了科学讲，他却明解决切个的哟。Meaning that though it should be understood as not decided, 50-50 of being decided and not being decided, meaning that it is decided the halfway and halfway is undecided or not decided, meaning that 50% it's certain, but 50% it is uncertain. Okay, so penna nga chi chena thalo naang to lo kyuin. Penna nga chi chena thalo naang to lo kyuin. So for example, I will maybe return to my home this year. So in this statement we see I will maybe return to my home this year. So the certainty of me returning to my home is 50 and the uncertainty is 50. So there is a 50-50 here. So it's a maybe case that there is as much of a possibility that it will happen as much of the possibility that it might not happen. So 직체나 should be understood as something that is decided or is certain half the way, and it's undecided or not decided half the way. Okay, so 직체나 도공 or 타공, so you can find both 타공 and 도공. 직체나 도공 잡아봐시버려, which means that it might rain tonight, or sorry, maybe it will rain tonight. So 직체나 타공 means tonight. 잡아봐기래, maybe it will rain tonight. So the usage of the particle or the word that is 직체나 should be understood as maybe. So 직체나 타공, or in some dialect you may hear the word 토공. 잡아봐기래, maybe it will rain tonight. So you see that there is, if we say 펼칠 토공 잡아봐기래. Okay, so let me take this example here. So we have the statement here. We have the statement that is, let me make it. Okay, so we were saying 직체나 타공 잡아봐기래. And here we have like, so we are saying maybe it will rain tonight, meaning that there is a 50-50 chance that it might rain or it might not rain. Whereas if we say 펼칠 타공 잡아봐기래, this means that it will most probably rain tonight, meaning that the certainty here during this, if we say 잡아봐기래, which means it will rain, which means that the three statement in which the final one has 100% certainty. So this could be because the person might have seen the weather forecast, or the person might have seen the clouds and they know that it's raining, or they might have encountered rain coming from. So when they were returning back, they might have encountered rain at a place nearby. So they're certain that it's going to rain tonight. In the second one, that there is a possibility that it might rain. There is a possibility, meaning that most probably it will rain. That the estimate is based on a probability that is greater than that's probably that's probably in the range of when we say percentage, it's in the range of 70 to 80% that it will rain. But then there is also uncertainty. For example, there might be a heavy wind blow, and the wind might just blow away all the clouds. There could be different circumstances. So one is certain, most probably certain, but there is still a tiny portion of uncertainty. But the first one, here we see that it is definitely something that's only 50% certain, meaning that one is only certain 50% that it might rain. That there are so many different parameters or factors that might change the circumstance, and then it might not rain. So therefore, on the basis of the degree of certainty, the final one is the most certain. The second one is less certain than the final one, but still it's more certain than the first one. And the first one is the least certain about something happening. Lasso. Now, tetum, or uncertain. Let me repeat the definition again. It should be understood as not decided, and it is uncertain. So something that is not decided and is uncertain. So one is definitely not certain that it will happen, that there is a very big doubt. There is a doubt. Let me repeat this. For example, I'm uncertain if the math teacher will be there or not today. So, today here. So I'm uncertain if the math teacher will be there or not today. Second example, I am, so I am is mostly inferential in this case. I am uncertain if all the work will be done. So one is uncertain if all of the work will be done. It's not about the degree of certainty. It's definitely something that's uncertain. One doesn't have an idea if something will be. They don't have an idea if something will be. There's no question about whether there is a certain degree of certainty. In this case, there is no certainty. So, when there is no certainty, when one doesn't have any idea if something's going to happen or not. And then the final one, which means undecided. So this directly means something that is undecided. It should be understood as not decided, something that is undecided. 生意冲突远没点开没 Let me repeat this. 生意冲突远冲突 or 冲突 so 生意冲突远没点开没 For example, it is undecided whether there will be a meeting tomorrow or not. So here there's similar to the previous one. And now it's also not about uncertainty at all. It is certain that something was undecided here. Whereas in the previous one, it was uncertain. It was not decided and it was due to uncertainty. Here, there is no degree of uncertainty, or there is no uncertainty. It's a true statement to understood as something that is undecided. So, therefore, something that is undecided. Second example. 他略les shinam tenke me. 他略les shinam tenke me. This year's projects are undecided, meaning that it is not decided at the moment. It's not that one is definitely, if one would like to explore, one would like to explore this particular, one would like to analyze this particular statement and then explore the possibility related with the statement, then one might come to a particular possibility that, yes, this is undecided because there were this factors. There were these things which were not uncertain. But here we are not interested in telling those things. We're simply saying that it's undecided. And there is no more information that the particular statement functions to provide. And if one wants to provide any additional understanding, then one should add different statement to this. Like we can say that, oh, it's undecided because of this reason. Then one should add the statement that tells because of this reason. But since it's since it is something that's simply undecided, without the obligation to provide more information regarding the statement, there's no need to talk about uncertain or the degree of uncertainty here. Just like the case in which we said in which there is certainty that it's already decided. And that there is no ambiguity towards the result. It's certain. Similarly, in this case, it's certain, but in the understanding that something is undecided, not decided. So certain to be not decided. So tenke. There's no need for providing more reasoning. There's no need for providing extra information regarding this. It's simply undecided. So tenke. Lasso. So let us see the usage of these in our day-to-day conversation. Okay. First person, Kamsa Tambo. Kamsan. I wish you a good health. Kamsan. Kamsan. Kadulle bimbe. I too wish you a good health. Yeah, this. When did you come? Kadulle bimbe. So, I too wish you a good health. When did you come? So it's a question. So we're just using the colloquial particles here rather than the interrogative particles that we have under the usage case of the differentiating and inclusive particles. So we are simply saying yimpe. So which is asking a question. When did you come? nga thada rang jorsong. I just arrived. Nga thada rang jorsong. O lasso. Nga ya thada rang lepsong. Oh, okay. I too just arrived, or I too just came. Okay, so now we're going to see or observe some of the usage of these words or particles that we have discussed just now. Nga tso taring khaan che che tu tikar zomba re. Nga tso taring khaan che che tu tikar zomba re. Why did we gather here today? Hakumasung is simply saying I don't know. And just like the statement which says I know, or statement which says it will happen, or statement that says it is undecided, these are all statements in which there is no question about the uncertainty. It's simply a statement that says I don't know. And it doesn't provide any extra meaning to this. Pelcher taring loche zite chondui yi che tu chondui serang tempe chogui inkite. So pelcher taring loche zite chondui serang tempe chogui inkite. So here we see the usage of the word most probably, pelcher. So I don't know. It is most probably to decide the date for the half-year accounts report meeting. So the word zita, which means account. So therefore, we see that we are using the word pelcher here to create an understanding of something that is almost certain, but still there is a degree of uncertainty here. Meaning that by looking at the things that has occurred in the previous years, or the schedule of the year, the annual schedule of the office, one can estimate or anticipate that something like this is going to happen. So it's not a random guess. It's something that is based on whether statistic or information that leads to the understanding that there is a great possibility that this something might happen. So pelcher. Ale, it means oh okay, it's more casual. Instead of ale is like oh okay, meaning that we're registering, we're acknowledging, and we're saying oh okay, something that has made us think. Lasso. Teingire. Kasan genzi laki zite teb nam ngasong. Oh, okay, that must be it. Yesterday, the manager, sir or madam, asked to bring all the account registers. O tega ra yin patratu. Te yina. If it was the case, te yina, talo lemi kone pawa sushi yume kyang tarin tachu ne seta nankire. Let me read this again. O tega ra yin patratu. Te yina. Talo lemi kone pawa sushi yume kyang tarin tachu ne seta nankire. Oh, it seems that is it. Himpatatu. Tegaran re means that is it. Yes, that is it. But since we're using himpatatu, it should be understood as it seems that is it. So oh, It seems that is it. If that is the case, if that is the case, then promotions will be decided and announced today. Lemi konepawa. Lemi means people who are working, so the staff. And konepawa means to promote, promotion. So then promotions will be decided and announced today. Lare, which means yes, that's right. So here here we are saying we are using a statement where we're stating that it is, or that's right. Ji chena genzi la talo geyul shugyu redu. Okay. Lare. Ji chena genzi la talo geyul shugyu redu. That's right. Maybe manager, so ma'am, is going to apply for retirement this year. Jik chena, we have used it as maybe. So one doesn't have enough evidence or enough information to say that the manager will retire today, but one is also not entirely oblivious or entirely unknown to the fact that the manager is going to retire this year. It's not like someone doesn't know, but then at the same time, it's not something that is that has enough information to be known as certain. So yes, that's right. Maybe manager, sir, ma'am, is going to apply for retirement this year. Hola, so. I didn't know that. If that is the case, so here we see that it is not chesikire or it's not pilche chekire. It's chekire, which means that there is certainty, that it is certain or confirmed, because re, when used without these words or particles that functions to show uncertainty, is a confirmational particle. So it confirms that something's going to happen. So, hola so. Nyeha komason. Teina genzin saba shikyan selta chekire. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. If that is the case, then the new manager will also be announced. Lade. Ngani tilo sawatang. Let me repeat this. Lare. Nganin telo tsawatang. Yes, that's right. I'm planning to resign this year and go to work at my hometown. So here also we see that we have the conformational particle and the zi. What it is it's a companion word that is used with a future tense, a future tense, something that has not happened, but something that will happen. And currently there is a plan for something to happen. So, la tenetsu sabaretu. So when we want to say, oh, that's a news to me, something that I didn't know, something that I didn't know, something that is new to me. So you can say, tenetsu sabaretu. So someone's asking, la, which means yes. So here you can see that even though there isn't a particular punctuation that would tell us that here the la has a certain type of question, it's something that one is registering, but in an understanding that something was a new information, something that one is hearing for the first time, and then there is a certain level of being either shocked or either being confused. So therefore, we might not have a particular punctuation to show this here, but the way the way I'm pronouncing it, la, which means which is the tone here, the tone or the manner of pronouncing it can tell you that either I'm in a shock or I'm in a confusion. So la tenetu sabaretu. Yes, that is a news to me. So that is a news to me. So definitely one would not be highly joyous after being confused. So yes, that is a news to me. Are you sure that you will be going, or you will be leaving, or you will be going here? So there is a question here. Okay, so la thinking nga tezum chungzam which tells us that the degree of certainty here, how certain we are about this, is 100%, that there is not a tiniest shred of doubt, meaning that everything is clear, that one is able to see and everything is clear without a doubt. So in those cases, we can say that Tezum we understood as uncertainty. Chung means a little, or chungzam means the most tiniest, a little bit of. So there's not even a little bit of, there's not even the tiniest shred of doubt. La thinking, which means, yes, I'm sure. I don't have the tiniest shred of doubt. Lasso. Teina tane song ngada chala junju mundre cheken su yume tezomi. Let me repeat this. Lasso. Teina tane song ngada chala junju mundre cheken su yume tezomi. Okay. Junju mundre means chit chat. So last time we understood the word chit chat as deuime. Meaning asking someone if they're okay or not, if they're fine or not. And that could also be understood as a small talk. So a small talk. But here, Jundru means to have chit chat, like a gossiping, like to gossip, to talk about things. So the word is Jundru. Okay, if that is the case, then I have a doubt on who will. So here, the person is saying, Tezomi. Tezo means I have a doubt. I'm uncertain, or I'm uncertain, or I have a doubt on who will have chit chat with me from then on, meaning from the time when the second person leaves. So let me repeat this. Lasso. Te ina tane song ngada chala chundru mundru cheken su yu me tezomi. Simte manaro. Nye kabgar means sometimes. Nye kabgar khabar tango. Tetu chundru mundru mangpo che choki de. Simte manaro. So it's a polite way of saying please don't worry. We can also say in more casual way, we can simte machero or simte manaro. Simte manaro. Nye kabgar khabar tango. Tetu chundru mundru mangpo che choki de. Please don't worry. I will call you sometimes, and then we can have all the chit chats, or we can have a lot of chit chats. Lasso. Yintayin. Tetu keraki ngebar to khabar tongro ang. Ang that we have already encountered this particular word in the previous class, in which, and in probably in many of the previous classes, where we discussed that ang should be understood as a word where one is showing that the person to whom one is speaking is very near to them, someone very familiar to them, someone who is very near and close to them, like a parent to a child, a teacher to a student, a very close friend to another close friend. Lasso, yindayi. Tedu keranki cover tedu keranki never to cover toro ang. Okay, of course you will have to. Please make sure to call then. Lasso. Ta genzi la pepson. Jela mutu yinta. So jela mutu yinta is a very casual way of saying let's continue later. The conversation that they were having, let's continue that later. Lasso. Ta genzi la pepson. Jela mutu yinta. Okay, now the manager's here. Manager sir or ma'am is here. Let's continue later. Or let's continue this later. If they said tijela mutu yinta, then this. Otherwise, let's continue later. Jela mutu yinta. Okay, let's continue later. So you have all in this exchange, you have observed some of the usage of the words which functions to show uncertainty. And you can see where these are used. Mostly if someone is confused or doesn't know what is happening. And the degree of uncertainty definitely plays a great role in which a particular word that you're using. And sometimes if it's something that doesn't have to do with anything related to uncertainty, but something that's simply undecided, then that's also a case where you can say it. Okay, so these are some of the verb introduced for today. Cha, which means sweep. Chuck, swept. Chuck, sweep. Chok, sweep. So the word chaktel, we have the word chaktel, in which the first part, chak, well, it can be understood as sweeping or cleaning away all the faults and the wrong views and all the faults and wrong views that one might have. And tel means to collect and gather, to welcome the good qualities. So chak means to denounce or to clean away or to sweep all the faults, negative emotions, negative thoughts, all of these from oneself. And then tel means to welcome, to bring in all the positive qualities. So we have the same word chaktel, chak in the chaktel. So chak means to sweep the dust or sweep the waste. Dep means to plant trees, to plant flowers. Plant, tap, planted, tap, will plant, top, plant as a command or imperative case. J, exchange, J, exchanged, J, will exchange, J, exchange, command someone to exchange. Kyong, to nurture. Kyang, nurtured. Kyang, will nurture, and kyong, nurture. Nyar, to keep. Nyar, kept. Nyar, will keep. Nyor, keep it. In like imperative form. So these are some of the verb introduced in today's class. So make sure that if you're able to, make sure that you make sentences with these verb, or try to include these verb in the sentences that you make for the assignment. Okay, so example. Now we have Siringla and Tashila today again. And in this setting, both of them are should be understood as being in their probably in their teens. Chiro-dele, good evening. La chiro-dele Siringla. La chiro-dele Siringla. Yes, good evening Siringla. Kasan tunrubling da gaden ling par kanse polo zedente te impe. Let me repeat this. Kasan Tundrup Ling da Gaden Ling Par Kanze Bolo Zedren Te Te Impe. So this is an entirely made up team. So did you watch the football match between Gadeling and Tundrupling yesterday? La Teyi, Gadeling Changachi ki top song. La Teyi, Gadeling Changachi ki top song. Yes, I watched it. Gadeling won by 1 goal. Lare, Tongmar Zedan Tela, Te tu Pelcher Tundrupling Topsare Samsung. Let me repeat this. Lare, Tongmar Zedan Tela, Te tu Pelcher Tundrupling Topsare Samsung. Yes, that's right. Observing how they played, I thought Tundrupling would most probably win. We have the particle Pelcher, so most probably. So observing how they played in the first half or the first quarter of the game, one was able to make a conclusion that Tundrupling would most probably win. Though still it's an uncertain, but there is a very good probability that they might win because of how they have played in the first quarter. Nge kyan thaga ra sam son te. Nge kyan thaga ra sam so te. Kama nga chu ne kade ning tsu yakbo tse son. Let me repeat this. Nge kyan thaga ra sam son te. Kama nga chu ne kade ning tsu yakbo tse son. I too thought that. I too thought that. But after the 50 minutes mark, Gadening started playing well. Okay. Tatseden Tamate Sutopki Yuna. So this is a question. Tatseden Tamate Sutopki Yuna. Who do you think will win the final? Tezomin. Here we see that Tashila is saying that I'm uncertain. Gadening da kesan linyi. Gadening da kesan linyi ka yakboyu. Tezomin. Gadening da kesan linyi ka yakboyu. I'm uncertain. Both Gadening and Kesanling are good. So here we see that Tashila is using the particle tezom, which means uncertain. Gadening tering tra thongmar kyobo tsena. Pelcher Kesanling so topki re. Gadening tering tra thongmar kyobo tsena. Pelcher Kesanling topki re. Kesanling so topki re. So here we are saying most probably, and this too is based on if, because we have already acknowledged that both of the teams are good, so it's probable that Kesaling will win if Gadening would play as poor as they did in the first few quarter or the first few minutes or in the first quarter. So it's almost sure if certain criteria would be met or will be met. Kasheki tarin thoma Gadening ki mi ya shute never relapsong. Chi chena kong zendre tama nin kong zendre tama nimor zeki re. Kasheki tarin thoma Gadening ki mi ya shute never relapsong. Chi chena kong zendre tama nimor zeki re. So here it states some said some said that the best player of Gardeling was sick today. Maybe he will play or most probably, or maybe he will play during the final. Chik chena kong zendre tama nimor 세기래. 대이야 가데는 토퍼 태조민. 계산 링크야 톱규 태조민. Even if that is the case, I'm still uncertain if Gadeling will win. I'm also uncertain if Kesanling will win in that case. Meaning that if the best player would come, then they're uncertain. Lare, machine kera taring kongse nimo kang chazi yu. Yes, that is right. Actually, mashi means actually, what are you going to do today on holiday? La, ngachi chena penzo la troyin. Temena pelchen nan to temgu leu chepa tayin. Kera taring chashi kang yu. I will maybe go to the library. If that is not the case, at home and watch the series of drama. What is your plan? What is your plan for today? La, nga tata tenke me. So, okay, I'm undecided for now. Na la lo ne samlo tongi. Lasso. Ta na la yin demo. Okay, I'm undecided for now. I will think about it after returning home. Okay, I will go back to home now. Take care. Lasso. Jema jelong. Demo. Okay, see you later. Take care. So we see this exchange between Tashila and Tsiringla in which they have used some of these particles in their statement to show a particular uncertainty. Like I said, these particles, such as Pelcher, can also be used for other meanings, like to show the meaning of majority, saying like, oh, majority of people have came. Mi Pelcher le tu. So if you would say, oh, if we say, lo true. Pelcher Nantu Law Song, which means majority of the students returned to their home. Majority of the students have returned to their home. And in this case, Pelcher is not used as a particle that shows uncertainty, but rather to show the meaning of majority. So look to Pelcher Nantu Law Song. So therefore, it should be understood that these particles have other usage also. But here we have specifically used them in order to show the uncertainty. And so as we discussed, the first one, Pelcher, shows a degree of uncertainty that is saying that it's almost decided, it's almost certain. There's only a tiny portion of it that is uncertain. Whereas the second one, C, doesn't talk about the degree of uncertainty. It simply functions to suggest that something might happen at any time. And then the third one, the Chikchena, maybe, is used when the certainty and the uncertainty is half-half, meaning it's 50-50, 0.5 probability. And then the fourth one, which is Tetsom, which means it's uncertain, meaning that it's totally uncertain. There is no degree of uncertainty. It's totally uncertain. And then the final one, Tenkeme, means it's not decided. It's undecided. There's nothing to talk about uncertainty, degree of uncertainty, or anything. It simply functions to say that it is not decided. Okay, so the new words, Genzi, which means manager, Saogong, which means resignation, Tempep, which means decide or establish, Konebawa, which means promote or promotion, to promote here, it's the verb. Zita means accounts, Zitetep means account register, Jundumundu means chit chat, Gangze Polo, football or soccer, Sede, match or competition of games, Tamgyu, it's Tamgyu. Tamgyu Liu Cheba, which means serial drama, dramas that have series, like episodes and series. Uh, okay, so now the idiom, the two idioms for today. The first one is challenge chuje. So this idiom also has a different variation that is changlen chuje, but we have used the challenge chuje, which means the same, only different examples. So challenge chuje, paying back water for tea. So this idiom does not exactly mean that someone is paying water when someone was given a tea, paying back with water when someone was given tea. So what this means is that this idiom means when someone repays kindness with disservice, when someone either harms or betrays the person who helped them at a certain time. When referred to a person, it means the person is ungrateful. So this particular idiom, when used in for a situation, it tells that the situation is such that one's kindness have been repaid with disservice or betrayal. But if it's used with a person, so it should be understood that the idioms could be used with a situation, whereas it could be also used with a person. If it's used with a person, it acts like an adjective, meaning that it describes a particular type of person. But then there are also usage of that same idiom for a situation. So therefore, when it's used with the person, it will have a meaning, which may not be the same meaning or the usage when it's used for a situation. Like we had the usage yesterday, poro kapo. If it's used with a person, it means someone that is attention seeking. But if it's used with a situation, it means that a situation where someone is once where someone stands out. Similarly, this idiom also, when used for a situation, it means a situation in which someone repays one's kindness with this service. But if it's used with a person, specifically to define a person, it means a person who is ungrateful. So this talks about a situation. It means that if you are paying back water for tea, then it is seriously pitiful, meaning that if it's a situation where you are repaying one's kindness by disservice and betrayal, then it is seriously pitiful. Let me repeat this again. The second idiom is kashenime. Ka, which means mouth, she means one's intention, one's mind or heart or intention. Nime means non-duality. So non-duality of mouth and heart, meaning it doesn't literally mean that non-duality of mouth and heart are one. No. What it means is that this idiom means being true to one's word, that is, to stick to one's commitment or vows. A person who is defined with this idiom is considered to be upholding and trustworthy. So, in general situation, this idiom means when someone uh, is not just talking and not doing it, meaning that one is talking or saying something and then doing accordingly. Or to put it into a more direct and with a more harsh word, someone who's not being hypocritical. So instead of being hypocritical, one being true to what they are saying, and then sticking up to their words. So when we use this to define a person, it defines a person who is upholding and trustworthy, someone who does what they say all the time. Okay, so the example. Tashilani mi kashi ni me imbe kongi love you na che tao chure. Tashila is a person with non Tashila is a person with non-duality of mouth and heart. So this refers to Tashila's ability to stick to their commitment. So saying the tashila is so the previous example was defining the situation. This example is defining the person. So here we are using the idiom to define a person, not a situation. In the previous example, it was the idiom defining the situation and not the person. So tashila is a person with non-duality of mouth and heart. Therefore, if he said it, then he will definitely do it. So in this case, we have defined tashila as to be trustworthy and upholding. Okay, so this is the second idiom, and this is it for today's lesson. So if anyone has question, I have time for one question today. So does anyone have questions regarding today's lesson? 接着通过대답긴 일본이 지식인. What is the function of the phrase inside and in sigpar remote tikente te pemahin sare peme la pe nang la sola nyari yisare as in khabar tonkente Paul Hinsare. Okay, so yes, sa is also used hinsa. So when it's used with conformational particles such as hin or yu, showing the possessive, meaning that something that possess, and hin showing the yin specifically showing if something is. So confirming the state of something. If you use sa with hin or yu, then this also shows uncertainty of whether someone is possessing something or whether something is of that particular situation. So if we say right here, so if we say Kong Simba Dubo, or we can say Kong Sony Dogyu Insare. In this case, it means the probability or the uncertainty of whether someone is going to leave. So it's more or less assuming. It's not certain. Definitely, it's not certain. There is a degree of uncertainty here also, that one might go. Or if we say kong la motor chi motor saba shi yusare. So assuming that probably they have a new car, because one might think, oh, we have not seen their old car, or we haven't seen them in their old car, so probably they might have a new car. Or it might be a situation where we see that the old car is outside and then they're coming out of a garage, and then we're saying, oh, probably they have a new car. So yes, there is a degree of uncertainty here also. So insa and yusa, where we have sa with these two conformational particles, yu and hin to show the uncertainty with the occurrence of an action or the state of being. Yu with the possession, if one is uncertain with the possession of something, if one is just making a particular assumption. So probably they might have a new car, or probably he might go. So yes, these are also used for uncertainty. But yes, we have not discussed this. So for today's class, we have introduced only these ones that we have done in the class. Lasso. So lasso. This is it for today, and thank you very much for joining in. I hope that the lesson was beneficial to you as it was to me, and that your everyone have enjoyed the lesson as much as I have. And I'll see every one of you for the next conversation class that will be on Wednesday. And some of you have sent me the assignments. I will check them and I'll send them to you as soon as possible. And this is it for today. And uh, Tashitele, and I wish every one of you a good morning, a noon, a good afternoon, a good evening, a good night, depending on where you are. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night. Lasso, Tashitele, and Lasso.